Hi, this is Chapter 1 of Finance. I'm going to recap the parts of Chapter 1 I've already discussed in class and then finish Chapter 1 so that way when we come back to school on Wednesday after this snow day, we'll be able to move right into the next chapter. And this way we won't lose as much time from missing the class today. So in Chapter 1, basically what I wanted to accomplish in Chapter 1 was I wanted to describe the field of finance, the duties of financial managers, basic goals of business firms, legal and ethical considerations and forms of business. Now, I started the lecture out by talking about the financial crisis that occurred in 2008, 2009, and gave some basic explanation about this. I think most people understand this by now. Banks became a little aggressive in issuing mortgages that were repackaged and sold to investors. And as the money became very available and there was a lot of credit for mortgages, they kept giving mortgages to people who were riskier and riskier and riskier, but the banks didn't care because they sold those mortgages to somebody else. So the way it basically works is the bank originates the mortgage and creates it and establishes it. When they sell it to be securitized, they get money. They make some money from reselling it. Do this enough times, in addition to all the fees the bank makes from originating the mortgage, it's a pretty profitable business with no risk because they remove it from their balance sheet. So rating agencies gave these new mortgage-backed securities high ratings because everybody felt this is real estate safe, it's a low risk. So investors were pouring billions of dollars into these mortgage-backed securities because they thought they were very safe and Wall Street had promoted them as being super safe until people started to realize that many of the people borrowing these mortgages borrowing money to get these mortgages weren't paying them back. And when the mortgages started to foreclose and supply increased on the number of houses, the housing values fell, which exacerbated the mortgage defaults, which destroyed many of these mortgage-backed securities and turned them into utter junk. So that caused chaos in the financial markets. So some of the firms that bought a lot of these mortgage-backed securities, they started to fail as the contracts were no good, and the firms that were too big to fail, some of them they allowed to fail, others they propped up. But it caused extreme chaos in our financial crisis developed, which the government stepped in and was able to stabilize some of the most of the financial system with trillions of dollars of support and end the financial crisis. So that was the biggest thing that happened in finance in the last 10 years was that financial crisis, and the government learned a good deal about the risks of finance, passed some new laws, some new legislation to try and make mortgages safer and make more transparency in these types of mortgage-backed securities or either other asset-backed securities. So that was like the biggest event in finance in the last 10 years. And you're feeling some of the ramifications today where sluggish growth and as we're trying to recover from this great recession and developments in the job area, a lot of financial people were laid off during this period. However, the field is starting to come back to life. And in the field of finance, you have three basic areas: financial management, financial markets and institutions, and investments where a majority of the financial professionals work. Uh, in financial management, this is really working for a company, a corporation. And inside the corporation, you manage the corporation's finances, evaluate investments, look to borrow money or mergers and acquisitions, different things of that nature. Basically dealing with the corporation's money in the best way possible. If you work for financial markets or financial institutions, then you're working for the companies that control the funds of money. So the markets and institutions, they control of the funds from investors, the savers, suppliers, to the spenders, the demanders, and they also a lot of people work in these institutions, record keeping, order transactions, and etc. You know, and a lot of these jobs take place in New York City. A lot of these financial markets and big institutions. And then there's the third area, which is just straight up investments, where you manage other people's money, personal finance advisor, stockbroker, things of this nature, where you actually help locate, select, and manage other people's investments and try to make a decent return for them. Okay. Now, how to get a job in finance. This was something I put together from some research where I talked to a number of recruiters in finance, a number of human resource managers, a number of financial managers, and a number of financial advertisements I looked at looking for people in the field. And primarily, the thing they're looking for most is that students who graduate have a good understanding and proficient with Excel. That students are good with teamwork, interpersonal skills, working with each other, getting along, building teams, and creating a good environment for people to work together. That they have excellent written, verbal, interpersonal communication skills, that they can communicate, understanding of accounting principles and standards, because finance, that's sort of accounting, sort of the language of finance. So it's important that you understand that. Bank operations and products, financial markets and products, Bloomberg terminal operations, and those are only for some specific jobs. Generally, if you're working in the financial institutions, require the Bloomberg terminal operations. And the College of Business is working on getting a Bloomberg terminal to give our students some experience in that. Hopefully that will show up in the fall. And strong problem-solving analytical skills. And this is pretty much what the recruiters and advertisers are looking for when hiring somebody. Now, this is from an actual article that was published about the top 10 skills graduate recruiters are looking for in students who want to get a job. And the first one is commercial awareness or business acumen. Really know that you understand how business works, how companies tick, from sales to marketing to production to finance, how it's all tied together, that you understand, how organization achieves its goals and makes its money and competes in the marketplace. And this number one, they basically want you to understand how a business works from top to bottom, from start to finish, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, and what everything that needs to be done in the middle for the company to make money. This is one of the reasons we're doing the Zoom simulation, because it really reinforces this commercial awareness of how a company works from start to finish and integrates all the subjects you've been learning are going to learn or have learned in the College of Business. 2 is communication. Being able to talk to people, listen, be able to write well. This is number 2 skill recruiters are looking for. Teamwork, number 3 skill, that you're able to be a good team player, a supportive team player, a good leader. That you can accept work when it's asked to do it. You can also delegate when you need to, and it's just about building a positive relationship among teammates. Okay. Advanced understanding of Microsoft Office, especially Word and Excel, is number 4. You'll see some commonalities between their list and the list I came up with. Problem-solving skills, number 5. Leadership, number 6, which I think is a part of teamwork, but leadership actually could be broken out by itself. How do you motivate teams and colleagues to work for you and get things done? Your organizational skills. College helps you. Taking 5 classes, organizing all your assignments and your projects in your life is a great. One of the great things you learn in college is how to organize your time and you manage your time well. And that's one thing that, businesses don't want you to waste time. They want you to get in there and be a good organizer and have the skills to, remember what your responsibilities are and make your meetings and get things done. Motivation, perseverance. They don't like people who are give-ups. They want people who are really working towards a goal and can stick to the course and find a way through even when things are hard. Ability to work under pressure. This is about keeping calm in a crisis, and this is about not being overwhelmed or overstressed, and this is a pretty, businesses like people who have a cool head during strenuous times. And then confidence, that, you have the confidence that you know what you're doing, that you exude confidence when they ask you to do something and you say you can do it, they believe you, and that, you have the confidence to inspire colleagues and really, if you're meeting with other vendors or customers or other companies, that your confidence is a good representation of the corporation. Okay. Now, with that being said, and this I went over last class, if you're looking to get a job, you don't wait until after you graduate. You want to start maybe at least 2 years before you graduate. establishing a good resume, working with the Career Center, getting, they have many programs over there to help students get ready for work, doing mock interviews, resume review. You want to start thinking about an internship, start making connections with friends and family and other students who work for companies, and trying to make a network and get connections and get people to remember you and know who you are, so that way when you do look for a job, maybe they can help you. And it's really about your motivation and your persistence at this point to line up a good job for yourself. If you wait to the last minute after you graduate and then you start looking and applying to jobs that everybody else is applying to, it's going to be difficult. So you don't want to put your resume online or apply for an ad online where your resume is going to be one of 10,000 resumes. What you want to do is find a unique way to get a job that not many people are applying about or not that many people know about. So you're a resume of one or one of 5 resumes for the job. For example, you may ask, well, I have no idea what that would be. And I said, here's an example. Your uncle works for a company and they're looking for interns. They haven't yet placed the ad. So you let your uncle know that you're interested in this intern. He brings your resume right to the person hiring. He says, oh, forget the ad. I'll just hire this person. That'll be fine. There you go. You get in through a relative very easily. Or of a company or a job you really like. They don't currently advertise for interns. They don't have a steady program of interns, but you approach them in a way where maybe write a handwritten letter, or you send them an email with a YouTube link of a video of yourself describing how you would be a good intern, the different things you could do. It gets their attention, and then boom, you have a job. Okay. Now, continuing, a lot of what financial managers do is they manage the balance sheet, and they're going to work with liabilities, assets, and equity. Now, what you know from your basic accounting classes, assets represent the use of funds. You have money, capital, and you buy assets. Liabilities is money that you borrowed as a company through a bank or through financial markets, things of that nature. Equity is an ownership claim. Equity is the money that people have given you in exchange for ownership in a company. So in financial management, we'll get back to this balance sheet in a minute. In financial management, you're going to be working in capital budgeting, capital structure, or working capital management. Three things we're going to go over in this class. Capital budgeting is basically evaluating investment opportunities to get the most return for a company's capital. The capital structure policy is really structuring the debt and the obligations of a company in the most lowest cost beneficial way. And working capital management is working with the current assets and liabilities to make the company as efficient as possible. So let's get back to the financial management. The capital budgeting deals with the long-term assets. So we're looking at a firm's investment, buying another company, opening up another division, big projects. So a financial manager has to evaluate the projects and see if there's 10 potential projects and you only have the money to do 4 of them, which 4 should you do? That's capital budgeting. You're going to go through, make a budget, and pick the 4 projects that the company should spend their money on. In capital structure, that's more about liabilities and equity, long term. So we're talking about what type of mix should fund the company's capital. How much equity or stock should we sell? How many bonds, preferred stock? How much bank loans? Things of this nature. So this deals with putting together a policy of a certain mix of money or capital that would help finance the company. So that's another thing financial managers do. And financial managers will work with capital management, dealing with short-term assets. Inventory, how much inventory should the company have? How much cash should they have on hand? How quickly should they try and collect their accounts receivable? In what ways should they collect their accounts receivable? Also, with the working capital management, we sometimes deal with the short-term liabilities as well. What's the best, and that's, accounts payable, notes payable, things where you may want to short-term raise some money to meet some short-term goals. All right, investments. So if a financial person is working in investments, they could be a stock, they could be in financial advisor to other people. They would want to analyze stocks and bonds as far as investment potential. And what they're looking for is to create a high return with a lower risk. So they're looking to improve the risk return trade off for their clients. And their clients could be other companies, they could be other people. So it's an area where you are basically doing a lot of financial analysis to figure out what are the best investments for a company or an individual. Now, financial markets institutions, this would facilitate the flow of funds. So you're working for, this could include banks, investment banks, Federal Reserve, options markets, stock markets, bond markets, mutual fund companies. So these are all financial institutions and markets that you could work in and specialize in areas of analyzing interest rates, money supply, relationship of the economy, things of that nature. Another exciting area to work. Now, if you are a financial manager, basically one of your biggest duties is to measure a firm's performance. One of the big things we'll do in the Zoom simulation, once you complete a couple of rounds, is we'll start analyzing your performance. The overview points is really a measurement of your firm's performance in that simulation. So we'll give you some practice in how to do that. Forecasting financial consequences, looking at pro forma financial statements, sales estimates. We'll also be doing this in the Zoom simulation to give you a flavor for how to forecast financial consequences and how that's going to affect the firm. Recommending new investments. Financial managers would look in, should we buy more equipment? Should we research, do more research development? And these are investments too. Should we buy more software, software that can make enhancements in our productivity and our production? So these are different investments that financial managers have to research, analyze, and see whether it's worth it. It could be of something like, should the company install solar panels on the rooftop? And maybe they research and they find it's going to cost us $1 million to put the solar panels in, but we're only going to save about $300,000 in electric over the next 20 years. So maybe that isn't a good investment. Recommending the best financing mix between stocks, bonds, bank loans, things of that nature. And determine the financial expectations of the owners. What are the owners really looking to do with this company? Are they looking to just stability, growth, steady income? Understanding what the investors, the owners want, helps the financial managers to better run the company. Now, here's an important thing to remember. Most of the simulation in most of this class is about the basic goal of a business. So the primary goal of a business is to maximize the wealth of the firm's owners. Now, when we say maximize the wealth, it's not necessarily the same as maximizing this month's profits. We're thinking about long term, and how can we, in a long term nature, maximize the business and the wealth of the owners who own the business. So everything we're doing as a financial manager should look towards the long horizon and say, investing in this now may, it could hurt us in our short-term profits, but long-term, this is going to be a great investment for the company. And that's what, the goal of the financial managers is really to maximize the wealth of the firm's owners in more of a long-term basis. Okay. So when we say maximize the value of a firm, what we're really saying is make the firm more valuable so that when people, if you ever go to sell the firm, we can get a higher amount of money. And what a firm is worth is what someone's willing to pay for it. So if you want to know how much anything is, the best way to figure it out is to see how much people will pay for it. So if you have an item in your house, you're not sure how much it's worth, you put it up on eBay, you get a bunch of people bidding on it, and by the time they're done bidding on it and the final bid is placed, then you know exactly what it's worth because it's what people are willing to pay for it. So financial managers have to make decisions that are going to make people think the firm is more valuable and think more favorably about the firm. And a firm's value is really about its future prospects. That's why you rather own a Blu-ray a company that makes Blu-ray players than a company that makes DVD players because the future prospects are better. So factors that investors look at when deciding to buy a stock. And one big area is cash flow. And cash flow is necessary for companies to be financially stable, pay the bills. It's not the same as sales or profits. Cash flows are the real money the business is generating. So the more we can enhance and stabilize the cash flows, the better the business value is. And the timing of cash flows. The sooner you can receive your cash, the better. And that affects the value of the business. If it's a business where you have to make a product and wait 5 years to get paid, that's not as valuable as a business that you get paid automatically the next day. Just like a job. What job, they both pay the same amount of money, but would you rather have a job where you only get paid once after you work a full year, or a job that you get paid once a week? Every week that you work, you get paid. And of course, I don't have to tell you which is better. And risk. They generally want to minimize risk, and if you can improve the dependency and the inflow of your cash on a more regular basis, you're reducing risk. And that's what will increase the value of a stock price. Now, legal and ethical challenges. As a manager, you, as any business person, not just a financial manager, but all business people, have to think about legal and ethical issues. And an agency issue is when a manager doesn't act in the owner's best interest, when a manager acts in their own best interest, such as hiring relatives that aren't the best person for the job, such as taking kickbacks on contracts. So the oil contract comes in and it's going to be a higher price, but the oil guy says, listen, I'll fill up your home tank for free. Or the landscapers come in and you choose a landscaping company because they offer to landscape your house for free, even though the company is going to pay more for these landscapers. So not in the owner's best interest. And there's also agency issues can involve the interest of people who work for the company, creditors, suppliers, customers. They're not owners, but they have a stake in the business as well. So financial managers have to do what's right, not what's right for the financial manager, but what's best and right for the company. And if they don't, it's considered an agency issue. Now, society issues are also a big place, have a big place in what financial managers have to think about and what's best for society. Is it better to throw the toxic chemicals in the river, or is it better to dispose of them properly? It may cost the company more money to dispose of them properly, but it's better for society, and ethically it's the right thing to do. Should the company spend some time and efforts volunteering for the benefit of society and the local community? Yes, because that will, companies have an ethical responsibility to give back to the community. And generally, it makes a better image for the company as well. So a lot of times the right thing is the hard thing to do, but it must be done in spite of the cost to the company because you want the company to have a high ethical and moral fiber. In some cases, the governments will impose fines and rules and force companies to respond in the best interest of society. So those laws definitely have to be followed, otherwise there's legal consequences. Now, switching gears for a minute, businesses can have many forms. So this is something you should learn in the Introduction to Business, maybe also in Financial Accounting Business 210. But it's a relatively simple topic, and we're not going to go into this in huge detail, but just going to go over the basics here. It should be a review for most people. So one very basic form of business is a sole proprietorship. And this is a very easy thing to establish. There's very little cost to this. You keep all the profits generated for yourself. A sole proprietorship means you're in business by yourself. The disadvantages have to deal with, since you're working just by yourself, you hold all the liability for the company. Anything that happens to the company, you're liable for. All losses have to be absorbed by you because you're the only owner, and you're the one, you get limited capital because it's only your capital that you can provide, and the company will live only as long as you live. Once you die, the company is no longer in existence. I mean, it could be sold to somebody else, but then a new company is formed, so the company has a limited life tied to your life. But that a lot of people who are starting small businesses like the sole proprietorship because it gives you a lot of control. It's easy to set up. So for like a local business, a deli or a pizza shop or very small business, a sole proprietorship is just fine. Now, if the business grows or multiple people want to be involved and start a slightly larger business, you could create a general partnership. And this is where you basically get together with a couple other people and you form a business and a partnership. And now you still in the partnership, you have unlimited liability as a partner, and this partnership can be dissolved as soon as a partner wants out or dies or leaves. So this partnership has a limited life as well, but it's really sort of like similar to a sole proprietorship, except you're working with other people. And some larger startups are going to need a general partnership because it's not going to be a simple enough business that one person can run it. So the partnership was developed for multiple people to work together to form a business. Now, if you want to get a little bit more sophisticated, you could develop a limited partnership where you create two classes of partners, the general and limited partners. Now, the general partners, they have all the responsibility, and they share generally a larger ownership of the company and a larger percentage of the wealth of the company. And then you could form limited partners who don't have liability to the operations of the company. They're basically just supplying money or capital and becoming a limited partner, but they don't have any legal obligations for what the business does or any losses or failures for the business. Sort of like going to your parents to lend you money to start a business. They're the limited partner and you're the general partner. Now, the general partners, they're going to be active in management. They're going to have more of the ownership and the profits and the losses, but they're going to have a disadvantage is they're going to have the unlimited liability. So when I say unlimited liability, I mean someone comes into your pizza place, burns their tongue on your pizza and sues the pizza place, not only gets your whole pizza place, but also gets your personal bank accounts in-house because it's unlimited the amount of liability you hold, so they can go after your personal assets as well. So kind of scary to have a sole proprietorship or a general partnership because they can go after you personally. The limited partners, though, they just really have a very limited liability to the company. They can only lose what they invested in the company, and their personal assets cannot be attacked. But they're going to have no active role in management and a smaller minority of ownership. Now, there's something called a limited liability partnership, or an LLP, similar to a general partnership, but it acts more like a corporation. So the advantage here is you get limited liability. So an LLP, they can only sue you for the assets of the company, not your personal assets. Now, the partnership itself is not taxed. The income is passed through to the partners, and the partners pay tax on the income that's passed through. Now, a corporation, this is the big boy of business organization. The corporation actually creates a legal person. It's so the corporation, it doesn't tie itself to a living person. It creates an artificial person separate and distinct from the owners. So the corporation is considered a legal person, and the corporation itself takes on the liabilities. So for you as an owner of the corporation or a part owner of the corporation, you have limited liability, permanence. The corporation goes on forever. It never dies because it's an artificial person. Easily transfer the ownership. So if you want out, you just sell your stock to somebody else. And corporations have much better access to capital markets. They can issue stock, IPOs, bonds. One disadvantage, though, a big disadvantage of these corporations is double taxation. So the company pays taxes and then pays you dividends, and then you pay taxes on the dividends. So it's more expensive to have a corporation. And it's much more timely and costs a lot to incorporate and maintain a corporation. That's why they came up with the LLC, the Limited Liability Corporation. And this is it's an organization that's a state-approved, unincorporated association. So basically, it's not it's not strictly, it's sort of a hybrid vehicle. Now, it's more like a partnership and less like a corporation, but it has the advantages of limited liability like a corporation for all partners and no double taxation. But the disadvantage is that it's still relatively new. Not 100% all the legal aspects or tax aspects are 100% worked out. But generally, a lot of people prefer to go to a limited liability corporation because you get the benefits of the corporation and the partnership without the drawbacks. So, but generally, smaller companies can qualify for LLCs. Much larger companies have to be full corporations. Okay. That is it for chapter 1. So I wanted to spend, about 30 minutes today reviewing what we had already gone over in class and finishing up chapter 1. So when we start class on Wednesday, we're going to go right into chapter 4. So please read chapter 4 and complete your homework for chapter 1, which includes running 3 practice rounds of the Zoom simulation, and sign up for the Zoom simulation as well. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you Wednesday.